Hi everybody, Melissa here, and in this video I want to show you how I wrap this beautiful Labradorite pendant. So stick around and I'll show you how. So I have this Labradorite here, and I can't believe all the purple flash that's in it. It's just beautiful. I already have 5 wires already cut. I chose 5 wires because of the thickness of the cabochon here. That pretty much covers it. It'll let me reach around the back and the front. I already have a binding on these wires because I made a previous video on how to bind wires. So I don't want to waste my wires, so I'm going to use it for this project. If you are unsure how to bind square wires, I will put a link down in the description to my video on how to bind square wire. For this project I am using 21 gauge square wire and 18 gauge half round wire. And I put 5 bindings in the center of this bundle. Here I'm making sure everything's centered, and I want to find something round I can mold these wires around that's about the same width as the stone. Here I find my hammer. That's the same width, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap around it. So I don't want my wires to cross, so right at the tip of the stone I'm going to mark where the wires meet. So where I put these marks, I'm going to take my flat nose pliers and angle my wires upward. So when I bring them together over the stone, they'll lay against each other nice and flat. This is where my hemostats come in handy. I just grab them and it holds everything tight for me. There's a lot of fiddling around and straightening and manipulating and making sure everybody's behaving themselves, so to speak. That wire is not, so now I gotta readjust. Alright, so now to make the braces in the back, I kind of pull that end wire, back wire up a bit. I had to take my clamp off so the wire would move. I take that outer wire there and just twist it upward. So in the front, I don't make such a harsh angle. I just take the very tips of my round nose pliers and bring the wire, the first outer wire, upward. And next I put a binding at the top of the pendant. While keeping everything steady, I start in the back and then I wrap around. Time to take the tape off and sculpt some wires. Now at this point I start to separate the top wires. Front from back, left from right. They get all tangled up there, so I just separate them so I know where everybody is. Then you need to determine how many wires you want to pull out to make your design, if you want to sculpt a design, and how many wires you want to use for your bail. Here I'm going to use the front 6 wires to make my little heart design. 3 on one side, 3 on the other side. And here I come around, and right at that edge I bend it. And this edge too, I bend it around. So when I secure them, they have a nice tight grip on that stone. Here I go to the other side. And do the same thing on the other side. If you give yourself more wires in the first place, you have more freedom to make larger designs. You can make loop-de-loops and stuff like that. But this one I just wanted to be really simple, so I kept the wires on the shorter side. Okay, so I have the wires hugging the piece, and now I'm going to work on the bail before I lock those wires down. I'm going to use all 4 wires for the bail, separate them out. Alright, I want to find something to wrap the bail around. I'm going to use the wooden dowel. I could use my bail making pliers, but my bail is going to be too wide for that. So with my wooden dowel, I hold it straight across and carefully bend each wire around the dowel while keeping everything as straight as possible. So once I form my bail, I turn it around and I pinch those wires together, make sure nobody's twisted, because I'm going to put a binding on it. So I want them as straight as possible. And when I meet the stone, I put a bend in it so they angle outward. Next step is to put on your binding. And here my bindings are too low, so I'm going to move them up a little bit. Now I want to fasten these side wires. So I'm going to snip them down to maybe about a 1/4 inch, eighth of an inch, and I'm going to, one at a time, roll them around that last wire, which I had pulled out a little bit so I can get it underneath. I'm going to do that for each one. I'm not going to fully tighten these wires yet. I'm just getting them in place one by one so I can go back and tighten them later when I know everybody is straight and where I want them to be. go to the other side. I'm going to loosen up this back wire. Just lift it up a bit so I can get my wires fastened underneath. So this time I'm just going to snip them all at the same length, but I'm going to roll them under one by one. Working with wire is a lot of fiddling around and adjusting just to make sure everybody is sitting where you want it to be. I want these wires to be separated a little bit, but I want them to be even. So before I lock them tight, I'm going to make sure everybody is right where I want them to be. And here I go back and I make sure my bail is still straight. And then I separate out the bail wires in the same fashion I did as the side wires. Kind of make it cohesive. And I just noticed here that my stone was loose at the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the top wires inward a little bit to secure the stone better. So now I'm going to secure the bail to the back of the pendant with some half round wire. I'm just kind of attaching it to the back wires. And it gets kind of difficult to do this part because there's not a lot of room. To finish this bail, I snip the wires to about 1/4 or 1/8 of an inch, and then I curl the wires underneath. Just give them a twist, and then it hides those sharp ends from scratching anybody. Then I come back with some pliers and smash them down really tight. Now take a look at your piece, make some minor adjustments, and you should be done. Here are some variations of the same design that I have done in the past. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. And also make sure to subscribe and hit the bell to be notified when I come out with a new video. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.